bit, but we're now joined and excited about having Tulane head football coach Willie Fritz with us on 365 Sports of the nationally ranked Tulane Green Wave. Willie, when you hear that, I know it's about the end game, but what does that mean to the program? And thanks for your time.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. We're excited about it. There's a lot of goals that you have every season. That's certainly one of them, and hasn't happened here at Tulane for quite some time. So it's a neat deal. But like you just alluded to, the end game's the main thing.
Coach, you have, through your career, I mean, you played at Pittsburgh State, who was a power at that level. You've come up coaching through high school, through community colleges, through FCS, every single level. How does that change your perspective or give you different looks when you get to Tulane and coach there and are now on the FBS level?
Well, I've kind of, taken over programs that maybe weren't at the top of their form. And done a good job of hiring the right coaches and recruiting the right kids and being able to get it going in the correct direction. And, kind of went up from, as you talked about, went up the ranks a little bit. I think that makes you more prepared. We'll sit in a staff meeting at the beginning of the year and I'll have everybody, and back in the old days when I took my head job at Blinn, my first head coaching job at Blinn Junior College over in Brenham, it was me and two other guys. We did everything. We were the equipment managers, the academic people, we lined the fields, we mowed the grass, drove the bus, coach offense, defense, kicking games, strength coach, taped ankles, did all those different things. And, so I've got a great respect for everybody's job and know a little bit about each one. I'm probably enough to screw them up, I guess. But, so I really think it's probably easier to go up in levels because you're very appreciative of what you have. So often I hear people talk about facilities and this, that, and the other thing. And it's more about the players and, the coaches and those kind of different things. So I'm glad I did it the way I did it. It's, really enjoyed every place that I was at. And, I recommend it, to anybody.
Coach, you're a big part of some of the success has happened, but what are your thoughts on the kind of the Juco level of ball played here in the state of Texas?
Well, I loved it. I one thing I worry about with the portal, the transfer portal is it's going to hurt junior college football. I went to JC last year to recruit, and they told me I was the only head coach who had been in there, that year. And heck, I remember when I was at Blinn, I had everybody come in and visit with me and see me. And I was D coordinator at Coffeyville Community College, and we'd have everybody come in and recruit. And it was a good place for guys to develop and have that opportunity to go on and play Division I, 1AA, Division II, even Division III. It wasn't just all guys going to Division I. So I worry about that a little bit, but there's a great junior college league down there. Playing in Navarro and Trinity Valley and Cisco and Kilgore and Tyler, and I think I hit them all right.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
We really enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very competitive. The teams that I had at Blinn, I think I had maybe 10, 15 guys that ended up playing in the NFL. We had some really good players on those teams and guys that went all over and played different places. So, I'm a big fan of junior college football.
Well,
it's strange. It's strange. I can't take them here.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
So we got a little higher. Our academic standards are pretty darn high. They've got to be a qualifier. All their hours have got to transfer. But I have all these junior college coaches calling from all over the country, and they want to send their kids. I said, man, I can't take him. He's not qualified. I just can't take him. But but I love JC ball.
Well, I went to Tyler Junior College, and I know about the history of Blinn until you showed up. And, of course, they've had a great history and incredible what you did and watched it. And myself, when I covered the Apaches among the other teams that you mentioned. I saw a stat. We were discussing Illinois and the run. We had an analyst who covers Illinois on earlier in the week. And I looked at what they're doing in some of the categories nationally, and then I saw Tulane pop up in the top 10 with fewest penalties per game. Is that always been kind of a staple of a Willie Fritz football team?
Well, we sure want it to be. I think it's very, very important. When we talk about it, what we call the plan to win, and the first component of the plan to win is win the turnover takeaway margin. I always show that to kids, in our first meeting, that all these different levels I coach, junior college, Division II, 1AA, Division I, when we've been +1 or better, we won 90% of our games. So that's the number one thing that we accent. And we talk about controlling the run game, both offensively and defensively. And then the third thing we talk about is, the wave don't beat the wave. It's trying to eliminate pre-snap and post-play penalties. The calls that anybody could make. That's sitting in the stands. When the ball snapped up until the whistle's blown, all those calls are subjective. One time they might call it a hold, and next time they may not call it a hold. And the exact same thing occurred. So we really emphasize that and try to get our guys to play as clean as we can. One of the things we do is staff, we're going to meet here at 4 o'clock, and I just went over all the penalties during practice. And we'll show those penalties to the staff, and then they'll show them to the guys tomorrow morning during our meeting. So, if you can stay away from those pre-snap and post-play, the late hits and the, trying to draw attention to yourself or whatever that what's going on now. But, try to stay away from those and just, that'll help you out big time if you can be disciplined. Those are really lack of discipline fouls.
Whenever the college football playoff expansion does happen here in the next couple of years, what does that mean for a school like Tulane that has had great seasons in the past? Is you guys are building something pretty special right now for getting kids into a place that's, in New Orleans is a great place to live and go to school, and in a stadium that's really fun, and all these cool things that you have going on at Tulane that you can maybe now sell the biggest thing to the incoming students.
Well, I just think every year, even when they've gotten to 4, there's always been 1 or 2 teams you're thinking, I wonder if they should have been in there. So I think it's good, and especially it'll give an opportunity to, for a group of 5 team to get in there and compete and play. You've seen all these, I guess they call them upsets with teams from our league and other leagues that are going in, and all these games are on the road too. Everybody doesn't realize that either. They don't pay you to come to your place, right?
Yeah.
But there's been a bunch of them this year, so the difference is really small between all these different levels, and I think it'll be good for the game of football, without question, the game of college football.
Coach, we talk to Jeff Schrader pretty regularly. He's a friend of the show, and he absolutely despises the term G5 or Group of 5 or whatever. Does that term bother you as much as it does Jeff Schrader, for example?
Well, I don't use it very much. And they're coming into our league this next year, so we're excited about that. Coach Schrader's done a fabulous job. Matter of fact, his son works with the linebackers here with the Saints. I don't know if you all knew that or not.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
We see him from time to time, but our league has branded itself part of the Power Six, and that all sounds good, but the only way to get rid of that label is to beat teams from that other level that they talk about all the time, right? So a bunch of teams in the Sun Belt, the MAC, the American Athletic Conference, our conference. Mountain West, they've all, beaten a bunch of those schools. So the difference is really small, as I said before. And I think that's why it's good that they're going with the expansion with the, college football playoffs.
Willie, you beat Kansas State earlier this year, and a lot of people who don't understand what you've done or are doing or your history were probably like, oh, my God, they lost to Tulane. We know how some aren't just very keen to what's going on. That game was completely even across the board in every way, and you actually lost the turnover battle 2-0 and won at Kansas State. What are your thoughts about that game? Because Kansas State obviously has not lost since they played you.
Well, I got a lot of respect for Coach Kleiman. He and I butted heads when I was at Sam Houston State, and he was up at North Dakota State as the defensive coordinator. Did a really good job. It was a defensive battle, and again, that was another game where there's a couple hundred people for old Tulane and 50-some thousand for the team in purple. So it was a great effort by our players. I'm really proud of them. Hard-fought game from the beginning till the very end. We made the plays when we needed to. You're right. We were -2. We did not win the first component of the plan to win. We got beaten that area, but I think it gave our guys a bunch of confidence, and they realized that week in and week out, we got an opportunity to win regardless who we play, provided that we play well and prepare during the week.
One of the other people on your coaching tree is Brian Bell, who's now an assistant on the Baylor staff, won a state championship here at China Spring High School last year. He, I don't know if he's a coaching tree necessarily, or he played for you at Sam Houston State. Do you have any good Brian Bell stories? And what does it mean when a player that you coached comes up through, wins a state championship, and does something as a coach?
Well, I got a million Brian Bell stories, but I love old Brian. He's just a great young man. What a family, the Bells. All just super, super people. I had a chance a couple of summers ago to my wife and I went over to his wedding, and my son was actually in a wedding. My son and Brian are best buddies. And, when he came to Sam Houston, we had a whole bunch of quarterbacks. And the last minute I took him, I'll tell you who told me to take him was Doug Furch. If you guys know Doug or not, he works over there.
Yeah,
very well. Baylor Athletic Department. Absolutely. Doug and I had worked years before. And he said, you got to take this kid. He came in and visited. I think he's about 145 pounds.
Yep.
Came out and visited. And we went ahead and took him, and I was going to redshirt him and beef him up to 155. And we just kept going. And it was proven to me that hey, these guys aren't going to be able to do it. So we started Brian, and he just did an unbelievable job. Really helped turn that program around, and won a bunch of ball games. And last year we were so proud to watch him. When China Springs won the state championship, he just did a great job with that program. It was really something else. And Sean's done a fantastic job over there at Baylor too. So just a neat family.
Coach, what's it like to be able to enjoy kind of some of the moments along the way, but also having to constantly deflect people like us in the media talking about your accomplishments halfway through a season and playoffs and things like that? Are you finding yourself combating more of the rat poison and things like that, or are you able to enjoy it along the way as well? What's kind of that battle there for a coach?
Well, one of the things we've always done, and Brian would be able to tell you this as well, kind of started a few, I think it was his junior year. Started off 1-2, and we'd went 14-1 the year before, and we just started talking about 1-0. All over. I don't hear about all this other crap. Just 1-0. We're gonna flush that last game down the toilet. We're getting ready for go on this next game. Our kids have really embraced that, and I just think they understand that we're not just going to roll the ball out there with anybody. We've got to prepare during the week, and then we got to turn it loose on Saturday at kickoff time. So they've done a good job of staying even keel.
Willie, I know you got to go. Brian Bell, by the way, sent me a couple of quotes now that Paul brought it up. One of the best men I have ever been around, makes things very simple and lets his players play. God bless me big time being able to play for him in college. One of the best decisions I ever made. Being on his staff, I was always so shocked at how much juice he would bring. I was 24 at the time thinking, if this guy's 58 and bringing it, I sure as heck can bring it too.
Well, that's nice of Brian to say all that. He just, he's done a super, super job, as I said before, and think the world of him. And had a lot of fun. People get in this profession, they just don't, I got into this because I love it. I love hopefully having an impact on young people but you also want to have a little fun, and we get out there and we run around. And I pride myself in, having as much juice or more than anybody else that's on my staff. It doesn't matter what age you are. You want to get out there and move around. If you don't move around, I don't know if the players are going to move around. So I know Brian coaches that way too. I'm sure he does. He certainly that way as a player. And when he coached for me at Georgia Southern, he'd always be moving around and having a good comment or two for the guys and just keeping the enthusiasm up.
Willie, one other thing on the win against Kansas State, I was like, is there parity in any? I know there's still some of these blue bloods that have everything, right? And there even some of them are getting knocked off. Do you see any kind of a trend towards a little bit of parity with the FCS schools or whoever we want to call anything else, or the non-Power Fives? It seems like we're seeing a little bit of that just in time for all this discussion, as Craig brought up in the college football expansion.
85 scholarships is 85. I've been in this a while, and they started off with, I think they had 120 many years ago, and then went down to 105 and 95. Now there's 85. And with the transfer portal, you're going to have some key guys that are going to leave you. We were really blessed last year. Even though we didn't have a very good season a year ago, we lost very few guys. And I think that's going to be more important. You got to do a good job and have a great culture with the guys in your program. They feel good about playing for you, and they see the value of staying and playing and fighting through adversity and all those kind of things. So I do think there is, quite a bit of parity. We're seeing all these upsets. The stadium, I tell these guys all the time, the stadium, the weight room, the locker room, they can't play for you. We actually got a lot of dudes that came back to New Orleans that were really good high school players. I recruited them on the front end, didn't get them. They went someplace else and thought the grass was a little greener, and they found out it was only green. And one of the guys gave me the greatest quote. He said, Coach, after I've been there a year, that stadium was just the same stadium as when I came on the visit. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to come back home. So you got to do a good job of recruiting your guys. And I do believe, you're correct. You've seen it this season with so many upsets. There is quite a bit of parity.
Tell Tyrick James we said hi, the young man from China Spring.
He's having a fantastic season for us now.
Yeah, caught 4 touchdowns for you.
The Bells helped me get him, I'll tell you that much.
I bet they did. Is the Bohannon young man from Conway, Arkansas, related to Gary, who was at USF, a former Baylor quarterback?
No relation, but his father was actually an All-American at Central Arkansas.
Okay, all right.
One time, so no relation.
Willie, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Good luck going forward. Memphis this week, and a great start for Tulane, the Green Wave. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Roll Wave.
Yes, sir. Willie Fritz, Tulane football coach, with us. They have Memphis coming up this week, and we appreciate his time.
Yeah, cool.